In one of my previous videos, I did a resist using the Kuretake gold ink. In this video, I'm going to do a resist using the Kuretake black ink. This is a brayer-off that has a faint outline of this stencil that I used in a previous video. The stencil is called Pathways by Eddie Reyes through pmartiststudio. And I want to emphasize the pattern of this stencil. So I'm tracing around it with a black Posca pen. Alright, there we have it. I really love the way this looks, but I want to add to it. I want it to be just a little bit more on the orange side. We're going to do a little bit of what's called a float, and I'm going to use an angle brush. This is actually a 5/8. How you do this: get your brush wet. Take some of the excess off of your brush by just gently tapping it on either side. And I'm not pressing it down hard. I'm barely touching it. Take your paint onto the toe of your brush and go back and forth. And you want to blend that paint across your paintbrush. Dip the heel of your brush into some water. If you don't think you quite have enough water, tap your brush back into your paint and go back and forth. Blend, blend, blend. Now that is looking perfect. And this is nothing more than glazing. That's all you're doing. If you don't like to use an angle brush to do this, you could use a round brush really easily. I'm going to reload my brush. And I blend in the same spot because there's already water in that location, and I want to retain the liquid in my brush. And I am not pressing very hard on my brush. And as I get down here into the corners, I'm just going to use the tip of my brush. I'm reloading my brush with some water, loading again, blend, blend, blend. And notice that I'm really just going over one side. And that's because if I go back over this area, I will remove that paint. And I don't even have to use the entire brush. That's why I say a round brush will also work, because I'm just barely touching that brush. I've got enough paint on there, I might be able to do this one again. But if I use the entirety of this brush, let me show you down here, what happens is that the water in this brush kind of goes from dark to light in the middle of that area. Maybe I don't want it quite that light. I'm going to reload my brush. Didn't add water to my brush that time. Come back across and down, allowing the fact that there's no paint in this part of my brush, just water. That brush can do its job with gently glazing that paint out into that area. I'm going to go ahead and do a few more of these on camera, and then I'll probably do the rest of them off camera. Okay, let me pull that up so you can see it. I think it looks great. I'm going to do these and then I'll be back. I used for that Tangelo Orange of Deco Art Americana. I like Americana paints for regular painting. I also use my golden periodically, but I really like the way that these work. I'm going to use Napa Red next, and I'm going to go over the top of this with just a really light glaze float of Napa Red. Same technique. I'm going to use a little smaller brush. This is a 1/2 inch. Same exact technique. You still want to think about where your light is coming from. So my light is coming from this direction. I basically shaded the left-hand side of each one of these shapes. Even though this is more of an abstract print with a pattern, I still want to think about where is my light source coming from. Next, we're going to use this Scorching Yellow fluorescent neon color from Deco Art. I'm going to lay some out on our palette. This is just kind of a little round brush. I'm going to get it a little bit wet. It's not soaking wet. And I'm going to come into this paint about like so. We're going to add one more thing to this just for a little bit of interest. Just in the highlighted areas, we're going to add this neon color. Okay. Oops. I got one more up here. Perfect. Oh my goodness, doesn't that look great? Just another way to use that fabulous stencil of Eddie Reyes. I'm going to use my 5x7 inch plate. I'm going to use a little bit of my iridescent gold fine, and this is Golden Open. I'm going to use this stencil, which I believe is called O Springs. It's a Miriam Wolf stencil. I think it's brilliant. I'm going to lay it down. I've got a brayer-off that I've been adding different things to. I'm hoping to use it eventually, but I'm going to go over the top of this. Let's see how we did. Yeah, we did okay. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I might be able to remove a little bit more onto a piece of deli paper. Let's pull this off of here. Let's grab our print, lay it down. Let's lay this right over the top of this area. We're going to let that sit for a minute or two because I want most of that to transfer to this print. Let's see if we can pull this off. Well, most of it came off. Still a little bit on the plate. Just a hair. I'm not going to worry about that. But yeah, that is perfect. Now my goal for this is to do a resist. And I want to resist with black ink. I have a new black ink I want to try. I also have a new super thick gel, which dries clear and shiny. I saw my friend Eddie Reyes of Eddie Makes Art use this, and I think this is going to work really well as a resist. I don't know if you remember, but I did a couple of resist videos last year, I believe. Look back and see if you can find them. I'll probably link them to the end of this video. But I think this will work really well as a resist. So let's try it. We've got our stencil, and we're going to apply the super thick gel right through this stencil. And this dries clear and it dries shiny. It should, keep your fingers crossed, it should work for this purpose. In theory. So let's lay some of this down, come directly over, while it protects what we've done underneath. Okay, pull this off. Okay, I think we did a fine job of that. This will have to dry completely. I don't know how long it takes to dry, but I'm guessing at least 24 hours. This is dry. I actually let it dry for 24 hours. I don't think you would have had to, but I wanted to make sure that everything was completely set before I started doing this next stage. We're going to do a resist. I did a little test because I wasn't sure how I wanted to do this. This is a brayer-off. I added my super thick gel to the center. On this side I did 2 coats of the black. This side just 1. And then down the center I did a little bit of gold because I just wanted to see how it was all going to work. It seemed to work pretty well. Now, like I said, I've used string gel before for my areas that I wanted to protect. I think the black is going to make the design pop more. So we're going to give this a shot. And we're using this Kuretake black Sumi ink. And I'm just going to dip my brush in. And I'm going to start going right over the top. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for just a second. I'm going to just let it dry for a moment so it isn't quite so cumbersome to use. I'm going to cover up my ink so I don't spill it. 2 ways to do this. You can use a paper towel that's slightly damp to pull all of that off of there. The other option, which I prefer, is to take a baby wipe. And be careful, because you can also pull your ink off of the surrounding area. This, get it good and dry, and then I'll come back and put on a second coat. I am going to let this sit and dry for just a minute. I'm going to go clean out my brush, and when I come back it should be ready to be taken off. Let's start with the paper towel. Okay, pretty darn good. That came off pretty well. It actually looks pretty good. It's pretty dark. I'm going to let this dry, and I might come back in and put one more layer on it. I would like this just a little bit darker, but I don't want to go over the top of these again because it's starting to seep underneath where I had the gel. So we're just going to use a round brush, and we're going to go around these and not worry about the resist. There we have it. I will need to compare this to some of my other resists. I think it's comparable. The only concern I have is that the ink started to seep underneath the edges. I don't know if you can see that where the ink is, it's seeped. I don't think that's a big deal, but that's why I painted the last coat on. Now I'm wondering what would happen if I went back over the top of this with some gold. Okay, at the risk of destroying it, we're going to try it. Because why not? We'll use the same stencil, O Springs, by Miriam Wolf. Let's pull off all of the excess with some deli paper. Let's lay this down, go over the top of it. I'm not going to leave this on here very long. Oh, that's actually really cool. But I think, I don't know if you can see that. See all the gold in there? And it went right over the top of this, which I really like. That was, I'd say, a success. Here's this finished print. I really, really love this. I think it turned out so well. So I think the possibilities for this technique are limitless. Imagine all of the cool patterns and textures you could isolate out by doing a resist. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me a comment. I always love to hear from you. Those thumbsy upsies are so important to my channel. That's how the algorithm picks me up. It sees that you're liking what I'm doing, and somebody else might like what I'm doing too. So help me out, give me a thumbsy upsie, and I'll see you in my next video.